Today's podcast is Do Domestic Cleaners Need an Online Presence? I'm Louise.
I'm Diane.
And welcome. We're going to be talking about how important it is for us as domestic cleaners to have an online presence. Diane and I have both run a number of different businesses with actually completely different marketing strategies, particularly when it comes to online and what we do. So we're going to be discussing that today. But before we start, Diane, why do people generally not like marketing and not like getting online?
Well, it's a bit of a time soak. Sometimes people don't know what to post, and people don't always like talking about themselves and kind of broadcasting how good they are. We're sometimes a bit reticent about that.
Yeah, it can be quite hard when you start a cleaning business and you don't know whether it's going to be a success or failure. You don't want to shout to the world saying, look at me, watch me fail, do you? You know, you've got to have a pretty confident that you're going to be good at this.
Yeah, especially when you're starting out. And, I remember when I started my cleaning business, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, you're learning an awful lot, aren't you? And making it up as you go along. So you don't necessarily want to broadcast what's going on because you're not confident at that stage.
And sometimes the problem with online is it can require quite technical skills. And I think domestic cleaners, they tend to be quite visual people. They like to be quite perfectionist. They like to get it right. And to be putting out really into the public domain, not information, but branding and things that aren't quite right can be quite difficult. They don't want to do it. They don't know what to say.
If it's not perfect, they don't want to put it out there. And it's a bit of a trap, that, because then you do nothing. So that's worse than not being perfect.
But we've been guilty of this, haven't we? We've been really guilty in the DCBN of, gosh, we've produced some amazing stuff, but again, please don't mention my Instagram account recently.
Your Instagram account was amazing.
Thanks. So, and the other thing that's quite interesting about online presence, and specifically on today's one, we're going to talk about websites and other things, and we're going to leave social media a little bit. But actually, what your online presence is and what's expected evolves, doesn't it? So smaller companies, what's really needed?
Yeah, and I think somebody just starting out now, it's the easiest way to get online is to have a Facebook page. That's often where people start now. And a website Or Instagram, absolutely. But, maybe a website feels a bit more daunting, a bit more expensive, and a bit more of an investment. So often when people start, they don't actually have a website. They start off with social media, a Facebook page. But in my business, it's always been about the website.
Yeah. So I'm the same as you. In my particular cleaning business, we really don't do social media. We have a Facebook page, but I think I last updated it 18 months ago. Maybe some things go on occasionally if I feel like it. But why? Why don't we do it?
Well, I think for me, a Facebook page, as an example, is about brand awareness. Now, I would not want a Facebook page that hadn't been posted on for 18 months, because then if people are checking you out, they might think your business is closed. Maybe an exaggeration. But, I do think you need to be posting something relatively regularly. But for me, it's always been about attracting people that are ready to buy. And I think people browse social media. So you have to be a little bit aware that you might not pick up the best quality leads, or, so that's in my experience for my business, that Facebook is about brand awareness, whereas the website is about actually converting. So.
Yeah. And that's why I like it, because once they're on my website, they're almost definitely going to get in contact. Yeah. I say they're probably about 50% conversion rate, but they do normally get in contact. They can fill in the form, everything's there, and social media just pushes them to my website.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas when they've hit your website, they're usually ready to buy. Whereas when they get hit by Facebook or social media in any way, they're not necessarily ready to buy. It's just that the algorithm has put you in front of them. So
yeah, and I like the website, because I don't know whether we still are, but for a long time we were top of Google. Probably haven't done enough work on it recently. But we're still getting inquiries in just by people. When they want a cleaner, they search Google. That's the first place they go. They go, right, I'm going to search Google. as long as we're coming up in those top 2 or 3, then really we're going to be getting those inquiries, and it doesn't cost us anything. And I optimized the website a long time ago. We don't pay monthly fees. So for the last 18 months, work's just poured in and there's been no cost and no effort. That's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. A really well written website with when people land on it, they know exactly what you do, and I've always, my first website, I did it all myself. I used one of the online creation things. I wrote it all myself. All the wording was all me. And it was quite homely, shall we say? Yeah. But I kind of that's what I wanted. I wanted people to feel comfortable that actually my business wasn't going to judge them if their house was untidy. So I wanted that kind of homely feel. And when I had it redone a good few years ago now, one of my briefs to the web designers was, I don't want you to change the feel. It looks so much different, but actually the feel of it is the same, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. And we're exactly the same. So my website is probably more pop arty. I think I would describe it as that. But if you go on it, the About Us page is about me. And it's about the cleaning business. It's about the history. So when you buy into it, you don't actually hear anything about our cleaning. Our cleaning's great, but actually people buy from people. So it's personal. We tell them what they really want to know. You want to know my history? Here you go. Can you trust me? Is what they're really asking, isn't it?
Yeah. And I remember as well when I was first starting the business, and I spoke to people about having a website created, and some of the mock-ups that I was given were just like, they were just so corporate in feel, and for a domestic cleaning business, if that's your primary business, you don't want them to come on and see people cleaning offices as the graphics, or be sort of like, I don't know, it's just the wrong image, because people, when they're looking for a domestic cleaning service, they want somebody who's going to understand them, who's going to take care of their home and their pets and their children. And it's just a different feel to, have your offices disinfected. It's different. And obviously the company I was using didn't understand that. So, which is why I didn't go with them, because they just didn't get it.
And people can tell stock images. We know what stock images are. And you can see there's literally uniforms. There's about 3 different uniforms that the stock image companies use. And that's not our uniforms. And people want to see people in pictures. They want to see you. And the other thing that a lot of people don't do when they start websites, they don't put a picture of themselves. So people want to know what you look like. And that's why social media is good, because they can see what you look like before you rock up at their house. Do I think that's right? No, I think we should be not judgmental or whatever, but they want that trust.
But it's that reality again of, people buy from people is, in our industry, you get a phone call, you have a quick chat, you go out and see them, you pick up their house keys and their alarm codes, and off you go, and you're going to be cleaning their house. So they need to know you. So if you can have those visuals on your website, then when they're speaking to you on the phone, they kind of know who they're speaking to. And again, it's all about making your client or potential client feel comfortable and confident.
So saying that, I do find it quite interesting, the balance in professionalism between being online and social media. So for me, all of our websites, so I also have another one, the beekeeper comes in again, Manchester Honey Company, and it's professional and it sells our products, and it tells you about us, but it's quite professional. We only put our best images on there, whereas social media is behind the scenes. When I mucked up soap making, natural beekeeping soap making, well, that went on social media, but I'm not going to put that on my website. And so as much as we say that professionalism, I choose the best parts to go on the website.
Yeah. And it's interesting, though, comparing 2 industries, isn't it? So on social media for a cleaning business, you can't imagine them, I've just damaged that tap. You're not going to put that out there, are you? Which is a mistake. But maybe in the honey company, you can kind of go, I messed up this batch of soap, but that's okay. It's that difference, isn't it, between the industries and the use of online marketing. Is, you can attract people with those mess ups in your honey company.
I don't know. I do think it's slightly different, because in the cleaning, the mess up is actually other people created the mess. Our job is to fix the mess up. So if they messed up their house and we made it worse in some way, that's not ideal, is it?
No, that's what I mean.
So yeah, it is a little bit different. But, if you drove to the wrong house, knocked on the door, they let you in, you started cleaning for 5 minutes, I would tell that story.
Yeah, that's because that's kind of, well, it's engaging, it's funny, and it's kind of like, I could see that happening, but it's not a mistake that is going to put somebody off, is it?
No, you turned up to the wrong house is kind of, we've all done.
It'd be like, people will be going, can you turn up at my house next time by accident? And I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. So I think that professionalism in the website is still quite important.
Yeah. Well, it's harder for them to engage with you on the website. So you have to have that level of professionalism, because they can't interact in the same way.
And we know online things get misinterpreted.
So they do, don't they, Louise?
They do. Sometimes people take things the wrong way. So, but your website is your chance to almost be your very best version of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's lovely. I'd love people to think I am who I am on the website. then they come on social media and it goes wrong. But yes, the websites, you've got your time to sit there and you can write your introduction to your business. And if it takes you 3 days to write it and you send it off to a copywriter, well, brilliant. That's what you should be doing. Whereas on social media, that's not realistic.
No.
So, but again, as we said, this changes. You're a smaller company. Do you need a website? No, I don't think so. And then as you do start to need a website, you mentioned these web builder companies. So GoDaddy, Wix, they're great. I will say that people go to them because they think they're cheaper. So we created a Wix website for free. It's never really free, which then costs £20 a month, which is now costing £240 a year. And that's £20 a month for the entire length that we have the website. Now, if you have one built, I don't know what the current costs are, but if you get a WordPress sort of 4 or 5 website page, I think you're talking 500-600 for most, is it going to set the world alight? No, but it's going to be a lovely, it's yours. And yes, it might cost you 500-600, but if you're paying £250 a year and that website lasts you, I know they say they should only last you, 2 to 4 years. I'd expect it to last you a solid 10 years. You might need an update at some point. It might have to go mobile optimized. Well, it should be all mobile optimized already. It's a no-brainer. Invest in your own website.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the website is make it so that you can change it. This has been fun for us, hasn't it, Diane?
Yeah, and it's I actually come across a lot of people where they've paid somebody to create a website for them and they have no control over updating it, or even actually if they wanted to change it and move it somewhere else, they don't actually own it. So yeah, it's make sure you can edit it. We've had that fun, like you say, with the DCBN website. It's a big learning curve, isn't it, Louise?
A lot of my websites are written on WordPress, which is pretty common, and you can put plugins all over the place and put shops in, and they're brilliant. And they're supposed to be really, really user-friendly. And I thought I was pretty technical. Turns out WordPress is somewhat harder than I anticipated. So I can go in, and where they've already got a block of writing, I can change that. But trying to post a blog article, I tried to do. How
many times did you post the blog article, Louise?
17 times. 17 times. But it wasn't because I didn't post it publicly. So I've tried to post it. The picture wasn't there. Then the picture was upside down. Then the picture was the entire page. Then my spacing on my sentence, on my paragraphs didn't work. And by this point, I'd properly messed up the blog articles and deleted other people, Diane's blog articles. So then I had that sheepish phone call on a Sunday morning about 10 o'clock going, Diane, I've sort of messed everything up, like really badly. I don't know what to do. To which she went, right, go back to a previous version of the website. So I did. Went back to a previous version of the website, went, yes, great, I can just reset it at any moment. Went on to make a further 10 mistakes and just reset it each time. And then the website developers, because we've still got quite a bit going on the website, went, what have you done? And I was like, just don't talk to me about it. Like, and now Diane posts the blog articles. I can write them, but it's hard. It's
And but that's the learning curve sometimes in our businesses, isn't it? Is that we find ourselves having to learn how to do things, and getting technical and websites and things like that. We kind of do have to at least understand them, even if we're outsourcing most of it. We have to understand it, and we should be able to, update our own websites. We just have to learn how to do it.
Well, do we have to? If your business is profitable enough, I know people with actually, vastly profitable businesses. If you're doing all after builder cleans, you've got good money coming in. Actually, it's in their interest. Just pay an expert. It's cheaper for them to pay an expert than waste their valuable time doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So actually, it depends on the stage of the business. Wix, GoDaddy, I've got to say, they are easier to learn than WordPress, but once you get WordPress, and I can write a little bit of code,
Gosh, can Louise.
Just don't ask me, okay? As it gets more difficult, and our websites, some of our websites are really quite complex now, aren't they? And but for most domestic cleaning businesses, they don't need to be. And I can update my business one. I just can't get them to read direct the emails at the moment, but we'll move on from that. So the great people create websites, and I see this all the time. People create websites, and honestly, they create lovely websites. They've got some before and after photos. It's personal. They've got them on it. It's well written. And then I go, right, load Google Analytics. Let's see what your stats are. It runs for a month or two. And I'm like, yes. How many visitors are you getting? 20 a month. And I'm like, 20 a month? And I'm not converting any of them. I was like, right, that's not ideal, is it? What's the point of a website if nobody knows you exist?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's probably the hardest bit. I mean, I remember spending hours when I first started finding all the online directories and making sure my business was submitted, and just working on that SEO, the search engine optimization, because it's no point having a website if nobody knows where it is or nobody can find it.
So for a lot of people listening, search engine optimization, or SEO, is like a foreign language. And actually, having studied it, so this is where I do come in. It is like a foreign language. So I may not be able to program the website, but I can get them found. So there are lists of directories, Google, Bing, Yahoo. I think we're down to about 10 major ones now, because they kind of branch out to other ones. Whereas I know 10 years ago, we were looking at 40 or 50 of these.
Yeah.
And what they've done now, because I've done this recently, it's free to list on them, but they make the free version really sneakily hard to find. Mm-hmm. So if you want a free listing on Yell, you can have a free listing on Yell. It's hard to find. I've got to say, you then get bombarded with advertising calls. So double-edged sword with that one. But Yell's still a big search engine.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the other thing that I think newer than 10 years ago, do you know what the second biggest search engine is?
YouTube.
That's cheating. I gave you the answer earlier. YouTube. This, for a lot of people, a YouTube channel is free. It's really easy to upload to, worryingly easy how easily you can upload videos to it. It's our second biggest search engine. It's run by Google, it's owned by Google, and that's why it's the second biggest search engine. This is all about tagging it. This is about, don't just upload a video, put in your description, put in your outtakes, put in your captions, do this properly. It can take you 5 minutes to upload a video, but spend the 15, 20 minutes writing out the other bits properly, because if you can pop up top on Google with that YouTube video, that's absolutely worth it. Yeah. And I think the other thing is, a lot of businesses think that YouTube has to be really, really professional. Once again, get in the proper camera people. That's not the case. I've got kids, as a lot of us do. YouTube Reels is massive. They would rather be on YouTube than they would be on TikTok, partly because they're banned, and Instagram. So YouTube is now more about social media, and actually should almost be treated as such, get that information out there.
Yeah. It's an additional sort of often neglected part of social media, isn't it? But the fact that it's linked with Google means that you need to use it.
Yeah, really good. The other thing, and we tested this out recently by Googling ourselves, actually the top link to us, apart from the DCBN website, was LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So LinkedIn, again, I often have this quandary. As a domestic cleaner, do we need LinkedIn?
I think if it's going to come up on search engines, then yes, absolutely. I think it's not necessarily a natural place where you would find clients, but if you're going to pop up, then you want to be on there and have an active presence.
Yeah, I think it's free, it's easy. And the reality is, so for me, LinkedIn is more, I've always used it in recruitment. It's brilliant for recruitment. It's becoming more networking. It's not really your easy social media. You know, you're not going to start meaningless chats about the colour of the dog's foot. Change that rapidly there.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming more interactive. I mean, I think LinkedIn's gone through a bit of a journey itself, hasn't it? It started off as almost like stick your resume on there, hasn't it? You know, your CV on there. And it became, that's what it was for a long time. Then it was like, no, we're the business version of Facebook, but we're very professional and we don't have conversations. And that's sort of and don't sort of connect with anybody you don't know, kind of weird scenario. Although why you would want to network with only people you know was always weird, but that was how it was thought of. And it's just evolved, and now it is more, you can have conversations on there. And you know, if we were to post our waste carrier's license on LinkedIn, so you're going to be able to still have those conversations. And we did some training. Well, we actually did, there was a LinkedIn webinar, wasn't there? And we got an expert in to do a webinar for our members, which is in the members area. But we also did some training on LinkedIn ourselves, didn't we? To see the difference. And actually, the conversation on LinkedIn is a lot quieter than it is on other social medias. So you can be louder, if that makes sense. You can get noticed more easily.
Yeah, so it's not that you're louder and shouting about you more, but you can post once a week and it gets seen.
Yeah.
Whereas you post once a week on Facebook, no one's going to see you.
No.
So LinkedIn is actually one that even as domestic cleaners, it is worth having us there, because the reality is, as soon as you get, let's say you find a customer on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they want to check you out. So they may Google your name. Now, if you haven't invested in a website, then you're going to want other forms of validation, which might be LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, we know a lot of domestic cleaning businesses do commercial as well, or want to expand into commercial. LinkedIn is amazing for that. There are great ways of using LinkedIn if you want to expand into commercial. But even for domestic, like you say, it's your brand. That's what LinkedIn can be about.
Now, when we talk about branding, this is something that you and I frequently, I wouldn't say clash on, but perhaps we're a little bit different, but you claim we're not. Branding. How important is branding?
It depends what you mean by branding, because your brand for me is your company culture and what your business is all about. Whereas most people think of branding as, what does your logo look like? What are the colours of what you're doing? I'm not sure that that's all that branding is.
Yeah.
We didn't have a logo in our cleaning business for the first 8 years.
Okay, but how important is a logo? Is your name enough?
Well, it was. So yeah,
I think
people get hung up on it. I can't get I don't like the logo. I need to change my logo, or I'm waiting for my logo before I start doing something. And it's just like, nobody cares about your logo but you. Your brand is actually what your company is all about. And we've talked about the website, haven't we? The best version of yourself, that's your brand.
So again, I'm going to bring in a little bit of other experience in domestic cleaning. Honestly, half my customers don't even remember the name of my company, let alone the brand. It's ridiculous. But interestingly, selling honey products and soaps and things like that, actually at that point, the logo becomes, because it's not about me as a person, it is about a product. Actually, that logo becomes a lot more important.
Yes.
So I think it depends on the industry, and you've got this because you run property businesses. How important is your logo there?
I don't think the logo is so important in property. For me, property is all about personal brand, actually, because it's about how authentic you are, how trustworthy you are, and, can you back up what you're teaching people? Because, I go out and I do presentations on property and teaching people about investing and how to maximize things. But if I didn't have that authority, and so my personal brand is very important to me in property, if that makes sense. But a logo, not important, but my personal brand is very important. And I've got to kind of protect that, shall we say.
Yeah. So again, it depends on industry. For commercial cleaners, probably a bit more important.
Perhaps. I still don't know that customers care about your logo, or that they care about what you are about as a business and a business owner. It's that buy from people again, isn't it?
Yeah. But where this does come in, and it's not necessarily the logo, this is about consistency. So if we talk about Google and the search engines, what they want to see is consistency across every type of media. So if you have a logo, and I know on a lot of my companies, my logos may come in slightly different colors, slightly different formats. I have varieties to make life a bit more exciting. You need to be posting exactly the same logo with exactly the same phone number, with exactly the same address. What they are looking for is that validity and consistency in data.
Yeah, and you're right. It's that verification of the data is really important when it comes to those algorithms, or those bots that are actually looking at your website and checking various things on it. They need to know that it's all correct across everything. So that's really important.
It's even as much as your photo. So if you are going to use a photo of you, use the same photo on everything. And it might seem ridiculous to you because you go, well, we're all going to see the same photo of me. But actually, Google loves it.
Yeah, because it's your brand, isn't it?
It's consistency. Be you. When we're on that being consistent, there's other things that you can do, aren't there? So we've talked about SEO, we've talked about LinkedIn a little bit. What about blogs? Now, I find this is something new for us. Blogs we've talked about. So obviously I've struggled to post those. What do you think of blogs?
I think blogs you can, first of all, they can be really good for search engine optimization. You can use a lot of keywords in a blog, but also it's setting you out as the authority in your industry. So, if we're focusing on domestic cleaning, you can put out blogs that let your potential clients know that you know what you're doing. So I think blogs can be amazing. And of course, you can share them on other media other than just on your website if you've got blogs on your website.
So with this, blogs tend to be a big lump of words. And I think I've definitely found that people are tending more towards video. They like podcasts, they like video. And I think that the blogs, a lot of people get bogged down going, well, I don't want to do a blog because, I did it yesterday. I sat down and wrote 1,000 words. I don't think
they have to be long though. No, a blog can be a couple of paragraphs.
Yes. Well, ideally, the optimum size is 1,000 words with your keyword repeated 10 times, as you should have read in one of my previous blogs. But don't worry about that, Diane.
You read your blogs, Louise.
I posted that one. So blogs are great for keywords, getting found, but actually for a lot of small cleaning businesses, it's a lot of work for really very little return. It is kind of video blogs. Produce a good video, produce a good reel. You can share that reel on Instagram.
And they can TikTok, definitely be a lot shorter, can't they? Yeah.
And actually, these blogs will rank your, if you can embed them in your website, they can make it come up higher as well. So I see a lot of people bogged down by creating these lengthy things. Just don't.
Yeah. I think don't people get bogged down though in marketing ideas generally? That kind of like, I've got to post something, but I don't have a clue where to start, and they then put it off, so they don't post anything.
Yes, and this is the one thing we see: consistency is better than amazingness. Like we could produce the most amazing podcast in the whole world. But actually, if we don't whack one out every single week and build up the audience, it's pointless. No one's going to listen to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So consistency will get you further than
Yeah.
And, an amazing
and also, I've had this conversation with business owners around recruitment. You know, they can't recruit. They're really struggling to recruit. They're fully booked, turning work away. So they stop marketing in any form. Mm-hmm. And I'll have the conversation and say, well, okay, so a potential candidate is looking at your business, maybe on social media or whatever, and they can't see any activity whatsoever. What are they going to think? They're going to think you're not busy. They're just going to think that you're not necessarily the right company for them to join. So I actually think that regardless of how fully booked you are, you carry on marketing. You just have to make sure that your marketing is appealing to customers and candidates, whatever you're putting out there, so that your business looks attractive at all times.
Yes. Can I just say I have posted in the last 18 months?
Yeah.
Probably. I just don't remember it. And it's consistency. It's consistency across everything. And I think as busy business owners, particularly in the sort of startup stage, sub 5 staff stage, well, probably sub 10 staff, you're so busy doing what you do and doing it well that this isn't important. At the point where you don't need the work to come in, why would you worry about a website? Why would you worry about any of this? And so this is the kind of business journey. You do it at the start and you make yourself look nice. It works. And actually, it's not until you get to about 10 staff and the market turns and suddenly you need the work coming in and you go, oh my gosh, I need a website and I need this and I need that. It's so much easier if you just do it a little bit along the way.
Little drips rather than having to keep turning the tap on and off.
Yeah. I'm sat there going, yeah, because I need to do my own. But I'm so...
You need marketing Mondays, Louise. That's what you need.
I do need marketing Mondays. I guess
set some time aside.
Yeah, we just haven't really needed it. And it does go on. It has happened. So, and the other thing that we want to look at is actually the balance. What are you posting? So because we're trying to be a bit more professional on our websites, we know on social media there's a balance between engage, entertain, and authority. But actually on the website, when we talk about this, where does that balance kind of go? Because we are very good at authority. Clean your house like this, clean your house like this. We can do this. We can solve this amazing problem that this client had. But actually, are we engaging? Are we making them laugh? Are we, and should we?
Yeah, well, I suppose that's maybe where video can come in, isn't it? That you can, on your website, you can have, it doesn't have to just be an infomercial, does it? You could have different ways of them connecting with you as a person. There's lots of different ways of using your website, but I think most of us are just used to using it as one big advert.
So are you going to start lip syncing to TikTok songs?
Absolutely no.
Even if it promoted your business?
No.
I was so going to get you to do this, Diane.
Not happening.
No. So in conclusion, we go back to the original question. Do domestic cleaners need an online presence?
Absolutely. If it's the easiest way to start a business. It's the easiest way to get new customers. It's the easiest way, if you want to grow, to show that you've got a presence out there for potential staff. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree, with the caveat that it doesn't need to be prescriptive and it doesn't need to be a website. In fact, you can just choose one way of having an online presence and it will work. But the more you have, the more authority you have, the easier it's going to be, particularly as you get bigger. Yeah.
And also, I think you have to be careful of your time and make sure that you're sort of organized around how you use it, especially if you're looking at social media. Don't get sucked into it too much. Sort of make sure that you're using it for your business.
So you've talked about this beautifully. Our next podcast actually is about social media and we get to go into loads more depth. And don't you criticize my Instagram. So we'll come on to that. Thank you very, very much. Lovely to speak to you. And I will be seeing you again shortly, Diane.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.